Forward down the field, the Lions team that will not yield. And when the blue and silver wave, you stand and cheer the brave.
Rah, rah, rah.
Win the game, with honor you will keep your fame. So down the field again, Lions victory.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Sports Flow with BK and Speaks. This week we will be recapping the Detroit Lions victory versus the LA Rams. We pulled this one out 24-23. First playoff win since 1991.
Woo!
Lions defense stands up late and ends up getting that first playoff win in 32 years. Big moment for the organization, the franchise, and the fans here. Outstanding weekend for all of us. Love to see it and can't wait for this week.
Yeah, it was an outstanding weekend to be a Lions fan. We've been waiting for this our whole life. So finally got, a playoff W at home. Couldn't have gone any better. It's just very exciting time to be a Lions fan.
Absolutely. And I think the other side of this, too, where it doesn't get any better is the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Our nemesis,
Yep.
obviously, in the NFC North, ended up taking care of some business for us by upsetting the Dallas Cowboys in the first round, which has now given us another home playoff game here this weekend versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, and even possible third if they take care of business in San Francisco. So, it could all run through the Motor City after all, as bad as the NFL didn't want it to.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. I'm not going to hold my breath about them taking out the 49ers.
Neither, but it's a possibility.
49ers are tough, but Jordan Love's dealing over there.
Yes.
So you don't know what's going to happen, but you got to love them giving us this gift where we get another home playoff game here where the environment was a major factor this weekend.
The environment was just absolutely electric. I want to give the crowd and the fans props because of you. You helped us win this game. You guys made the LA Rams use 2 early timeouts. And then they didn't have any more timeouts at the end of the game, which, set us up perfectly to, do the celebratory knee at the end of the game and get our first playoff win in 32 years, baby.
Yeah, it was sweet. And the crowd obviously played a huge factor.
Huge.
And when we're looking at the crowd, they really started to play a factor there on the defensive side of the ball.
They sure did.
The pass rush was needed and provided by the defensive line. Hutch comes up with another 2-sack game, given they were a little bit of easy sacks because, Stafford fell over on one and all he had to do was touch him.
Hey, sack's sack.
A sack is a sack. He's still in the backfield, but they were making him uncomfortable the entire game. They were in his face. And it was great to see on that defensive side.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. He was playing through a sickness in, this first playoff opening game of his, and I thought he did pretty damn well for the second-year edge rusher, man.
Yeah, he was tough, and he continues to be on this hot streak. Lions got a bona fide star in the pass rush with Hutch here.
Yep.
And the other side of this, too, is the running defense continues to be solid. They're able to hold Kyron Williams, who's one of the best backs in the league this year, over in L.A. We ended up holding him to 61 yards on 13 carries.
Yeah, for a guy with over, 12,000 yards. 1,200, yes, and 12 touchdowns is what I was trying to say. And only 12 games, so holding him to 61 yards and no scores is nothing to scoff at, especially at this stage in the playoffs and in the NFL right now.
We absolutely needed it.
Yeah.
We have to make them one-dimensional and win that game. We were able to do that. Unfortunately, Puka Nacua tore us up again. It seems to be the story every week where a receiver is just going for astronomical numbers against us. He had 9 receptions for 181 and a touch. But they didn't get a lot of production from the other receivers, which you love to see from the defensive side.
Yeah, it's hard to explain this defense through the last month. The Lions have been torched by star receivers, like you just mentioned, the last 4 games, and it remains, a possible roadblock to this team accomplishing more in the playoffs. If we don't get this, under control a little bit. Outside cornerbacks Cam Sutton and Kendall Vindor got left in the dust on some big play action. Sutton got beat for a 50-yard touchdown on a 3rd and 1 when the Lions are up 14-3, looking to put their foot on the gas. That play left the door wide open for the Rams, and Puka Nacua ate all over the field to the tune of 9 receptions for 181 and
Just
one
crazy.
touchdown. Matthew Stafford and the rookie wideout have something special. But, some of those mistakes were self-inflicted on Detroit's side of business, and on the other side, CJ, Deuce, Gardner-Johnson, and Brian Branch were tight in coverage and physical at the line of scrimmage. They played a key role in the limiting production of Cooper Kupp, the Triple Crown winner, which is not easy to do, not to mention a pair of those stops inside the red zone.
Yeah, it's crazy that Vildor is starting for us right now. This is a guy who was a special teams guy to start the year. He's kind of worked his way up the roster, but the injuries that we have at the corner spot are no joke.
No.
And Vildor has kind of stepped in. He's done a good job with it.
He has.
But basically, all we needed this weekend was exactly what you talked about, holding them out in the red zone.
Yep.
Make sure that they don't get touchdowns. It was a bend, don't break style that we were playing. They did not give up the big play to the Rams, and they did hold them out on those 3 drives, just holding them to field goals, and it ended up being the difference.
Yeah, and our linebackers had a pretty good game too. Alex Anzalone played through a shoulder injury, and he did his part, bending but not breaking against the Rams. Anzalone led the way with 8 tackles, including 2 for loss, to pace the defense, and it was another positive showing for the rookie Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes, who were rotating in and out as usual. Besides Williams, having that 15-yard run, he was pretty bottled up for most of the day, which was great to see.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we need to discuss here is the fact on that last drive when we needed the defense to come up with the stop.
Yeah.
And they were driving down the field. They were getting ready to get into field goal range. They were right around that 30-yard line there.
Yep.
And a holding call. Gets called on the Rams on 3rd down.
We accept it.
We end up stopping them on that 3rd down. Would have led to a 4th down, but probably a field goal attempt there. We accept the flag. Dan Campbell takes a risk there, obviously giving them another
risk,
shot.
yeah.
But by doing that, it backed them up out of range. They had to punt, gave it back to us, and then we never gave it back.
Yeah, and Jack Fox, man, he's been on a tear at the end of the season. He made his, postseason debut like a lot of Lions here, in booming fashion, punting 3 times for a net average of 49.3 yards, his second best mark of the entire year. And, he really, helped us out with field position all day.
Guy just crushes the ball every single time he gets a chance to punt it. He's one of the weapons that people don't talk about on the Lions, but he is certainly a weapon that flips the field for us.
Yeah, and, Michael Bagley hammered home a 54-yard field goal while we're on the special teams.
A little sketchy on that, dude. 43% from 50 range. It had me sweating when he was taking it. Fortunately, he knocked it down.
Yeah, the Lions' previous long make of the year was 52 by Riley Patterson, who's no longer on our roster. So that was a pleasant surprise, and it was huge for us.
Needed it.
Yeah. Had to have it. We won by a point. We needed that.
It gave us the win. I mean, that was a clutch kick that he took care of there. And the offense, honestly, it was kind of stagnant throughout most of the second half here. Out of the gates, we started real strong. We came out 2 straight drives right down the field, 2 rushing touchdowns. Gibbs gets 1, Montgomery.
On top of that, on 4th and 1, he throws that laser to Sam Laporta to, get us another touchdown, which was huge for us.
Yeah, it was a gutsy call from Campbell there again, but that's our DNA this year, is we're going to go for it when we're in those tight spots. Goff comes up with a huge throw. We get Laporta, being back from the injury.
Yeah.
Incredible that the dude even played this weekend. I can't believe they even saw the field.
Yeah, and he was moving great with that big old knee brace on his knee too, so it was awesome.
Yeah, with that knee, and he comes in, makes a huge catch for us on that 4th down. And that changed the game, too, because if we kick a field goal there, we end up losing the game.
Yeah, Goff finished with 277 passing yards, 1 touchdown to Laporta, a passer rating of 121.8. Apart from the second quarter fumble, which, Brock Wright recovered, Goff had an impressive showing, man.
Yeah, 22 of 27 really made a statement against his former team in the passing. Like, the guy only missed 5 passes, went for 277, and the biggest part of this is he didn't turn over the ball. I mean, he did do that fumble, but Brock Wright bailed him out. But them taking care of the football was a huge key to the success here.
Yeah, and one of the biggest moments of his Lions career, heck, maybe one of the biggest moments in the history of this hard luck franchise, Goff delivered. He moved the chains on a dump off to David Montgomery just before the 2-minute warning. And with LA out of timeouts because of the crowd noise, had sucked out too early in the first half, like we already touched on, we get the first down and the victory, baby. It was awesome. And they didn't go with, some razz and dazzle to end the play. They weren't cute. They got down to the gritty. The Lions called a gritty play with their season on the line, asking no other than Amon-Ra St. Brown to do what Amon-Ra St. Brown has done 1,000 times before. Run a curl route while in one-on-one coverage and beat the nickel, and he did just that.
Yeah, what a weapon St. Brown is. 107 in a touch again this weekend. The guy is just a model of consistency for us.
He sure
but it was
is.
a gutsy call there, too. I mean, they throw it there on the second down to make sure that they're going to get the first down and keep the Rams off balance with that play call. It turned out to be a great call, gets us the first down, and we end up getting into victory formation at that point.
Yeah, and Josh Reynolds had a monster first half, finishing with 5 receptions for 80 yards. Seemed like every time we needed a big play or a big catch, he was there to make it. Reynolds had 4 of those 5 catches in the first quarter. He remains a vital glue piece to this operation. And while Jameson Williams isn't, stuffing the box score, the speedy wideout had a couple of contested catches after missing the season, finale with that ankle injury. I thought he played great.
Yeah, he was great too. And Reynolds gets his revenge game here.
Yep.
Versus former team, the
Yep.
Rams. I mean, it was kind of a revenge game for him and Stafford with this. And Reynolds came through.
And Goff.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Goff,
well, all
Stafford,
3 of them.
Yeah, all 3. There was a lot of history
Yep.
there. But yeah, Goff came through, and Reynolds came through for us in a huge way.
Yeah, and let's touch on these running backs who both had a score. David Montgomery received most of the touches on the first 3 drives, helping the Lions to set the tone early. In this wild card showdown, Montgomery finished with 14 carries, 57 yards, and that 1 TD. He added that 1 catch for 11 yards. That was crucial and, extending our season. Gibbs, making the most of his opportunities, was battled on the ground for the most part, but he made up for it in the passing game. Gibbs ran 8 times, 25 yards and 1 TD, catching all 4 targets for 43 yards. Just an outstanding duo that we have right there, 1-2 punch, and they lived up to expectations for us.
Yeah, played real strong, but in the end, I think the defense kind of pulled this one out for us.
Yeah.
They were, holding on against this high potent Rams offense that has moved the football on everybody, and we were able to come up with the stops when we needed them. And then also we were able to hold them to those field goals, which was a huge, huge factor here.
Oh, a huge factor. I mean, we go 3-0 in the red zone, and they go 0 for 3 in the red zone. We go 3 for 3 in the red zone, and they go 0 for 3. I'm a little dyslexic today, apparently, but so yeah, I mean, that was the difference in the game, is we scored points in the red zone and they kicked field goals. So I mean, that makes a world of a difference, and that's why we're advancing, and LA's going back to La La Land.
Yeah, and it was outstanding to see. You knew it was going to be a battle. We end up winning the slugfest. It was wonderful to have a playoff victory in this state for all these Lions fans who have been waiting and been cheering for this team through the ups and the downs through every year. Finally, we end up getting one of these.
Yeah, and let's give props to the trenches and the offensive line. Penny Sewell was moving bodies to open the game. The offensive line had a crystal clean day. Sewell finished off his all-pro nod. It was all over the highlight reel. Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson led the way in the first touchdown run of the game. Aaron Donald didn't have a quarterback hit. One of LA's 3 sacks on the day was Goff tripping over his own lineman's feet. So in all, a great foundation of, our offensive line there and our unit, man. That was great to see.
Yeah, Penny Sewell is probably the best offensive lineman in the entire league.
No question.
The way he's been grading out this year with his performances, the way he impacts this offensive line for the Lions is no joke. And it's a blessing to have him on this team now and moving forward.
Yeah, and, Dan Campbell had this group ready to roll. The Lions came out of the gates firing on all cylinders. Ben Johnson learned, on his dependable playmakers. Aaron Glenn's defense held the Rams to 3 field goals from closer than 30 yards. All in all, coaching staff, round of applause. You guys did a great job. The fans were great. Just a great, team fan win over there in the Motor City.
You love to see it. It was wonderful, man. And now we look ahead to next week.
Yeah.
I mean, we get Tampa coming into town. We get another home playoff
Woo!
game. We're 6.5-point favorites here. The over-under set at 48.5. Earlier in the season, the Lions did defeat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay 20-6. We had a lot of injuries at that time. Tampa's playing like a different team, though, at this point than they were early on in the year. It's going to be a good game. My keys to it is right out of the gates, the Lions are going to have to rattle Baker Mayfield here with the crowd and the pass rush. Mike Evans is probably going to go for a pretty good game.
Got to try to contain him. We can't stop these star receivers, but as long as we can hold them to the under 200, I'll be happy.
Yeah, we just got to slow down Mike. Mike Evans is no joke.
No, he's not. Future Hall of Famer.
Future Hall of Famer. Just a ridiculous receiver on the outside. But we got to make them one-dimensional, too, by stopping the running attack. Rashard White over there has had a great year, and the Lions will need that top rushing defense to slow him down, kind of make them one-dimensional where it all goes on Baker's shoulders. I think that's a lot of pressure to put on a guy who hasn't played a lot of playoff games is my hope there. I also think on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to have to establish the run game. It's going to be tricky. Tampa's got one of the top rush defenses in the league, but we got to make sure that we get it established so we're able to open it up with the passing game going forward. Really don't just need to not turn over the ball.
Yep.
We need to put our defense in a spot where they can succeed as long as we're giving them the long field where they have to drive down. That
just like we did last week.
Exactly. Put them in a tough spot where they got to go the distance against that crowd and that pass rush and that defense, and that's what we're going to need to do. But we also have to, open it up with the running attack like I was mentioning, use the weapons on the outside with our wide receivers, tight ends to create plays in the passing attack. And most of all, we just need this fan base to be here.
Keep it up, baby.
Be there and create this environment that makes them uncomfortable. My key players in the game here, I got for the Lions, it's going to be Goff. I think Jared Goff needs to not turn over the football and make the throws we need him to. I think our weapons on the outside are tough for Tampa to contain. We just got to make sure we're getting them the ball. Laporta is another key player that I'm looking at. Is he going to be healthier? What's his workload kind of look like there? He is a huge playmaker for us on the offensive side of the football. If we get him back healthy or somewhat healthy and can establish him more into the offense, that will give us a lot of success there. And then on our defensive side, Lee McNeil, our defensive tackle, doesn't get talked about enough.
No, he doesn't.
He's been providing a pass rush on that interior since he's come back from
Hutch.
injury. Yeah, it's really creating more avenues for Hutch to get to the quarterback, making them have to, focus on him in his own right.
Yeah.
And that's been huge for us. So we're going to need Aleem to have another big game here this week. I think when we're looking at the Bucs side, Baker Mayfield's obviously the big key. Can he keep his composure?
Yep.
Is he going to make those throws? Is he going to play a street yard game like he likes to play? Lions fan base is going to have to get in his ear. Hopefully it makes him uncomfortable. And then the other guy I'm looking at Tampa Bay side is they got that big D tackle. They got Vita Vea, who you cannot move out of the middle.
Absolute stud.
Yeah, we're going to have to throw some different attacks and different run schemes at him to get the running attack going. But he's a guy that we're definitely going to have to account for there. I think we end up doing a lot of those things. The defense plays well with the crowd behind them. They do just enough to slow down Tampa. And the offense does enough with Goff being indoors, having his environment around him, getting the weapons back, getting to full force there. I think the Lions end up winning this one to go to the NFC title game with a 27-17 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, I like this matchup for us way more than I was going to like the Eagles matchup. Baker's not nearly as mobile as, Jalen Hurts. So,
which has been a problem for us all year.
Yeah, which has been a problem for us all year. And like you already covered, we already beat them 20-6 this year away. Now we're home. We got the crowd behind us. We're about to get another pass rusher back with James Houston. So things are, looking good for us. Some key players to focus on. Jamison Williams, he had a 46-yard touchdown versus Tampa Bay last time. I think he's going to have a big game, maybe another big touchdown. St. Brown, he's going to do his thing like he always does. He's trying to get more guys to dye their hair blue. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how many, blue guys there are for this game. And then we got to get Gibbs in the running game going. Him and Montgomery, that's very important. Can we get him going against, this stout defense that they've been playing great as of late. So we'll see what happens there on the Bucs side. Devin White, great linebacker. We got to contain him.
Him and Levon.
Yeah.
Both those guys are no joke.
Just absolute studs. So we gotta do our best on those two guys. Got to slow down Godwin. You already covered Mike Evans. Those two dudes, if we can just slow them down and them not go too crazy on us, I think we'll be all right. I got us winning 24-20. I don't think it's going to be quite as the blowout as it was earlier in the year. There's too much on the line, and it's just going to be one of those close games again. So get your seatbelts on and be ready for another nail biter, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a defensive game too. I think you're spot on with that. I think whichever team doesn't make the mistakes is probably going to end up winning this game. I'm excited to see it, man. 3:00 on Sunday, at home, at Ford Field, Tampa coming to town. Hopefully we can take care of business here. But, man, it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's a lot to look forward to. And, Goff never has to buy a drink in the D-Town ever again after getting this first win. So let's hope he can get a second. We hope you guys enjoyed listening, and we hope we get another Lions playoff W this Sunday. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, and we'll be back next week to recap this game and hopefully look forward to the next one. But thanks again.
Go Lions, baby.